Hi guys. So it's been since May since I've gone live. And so I decided to do another one. Obviously, I have gained a little bit of weight since then. I have been on 2 months of chemo and it hasn't worked. As Fred, the initial tumor, now has a girlfriend named Nancy and is above him. So the entire left side of my body now has tumors from top of my ribs all the way down to my pelvic bone. So what we're gonna do is we tried chemo. I just didn't do very well with chemo, unfortunately. Maybe I'll do a episode where I describe my horrible it just didn't do well. It wasn't for me. So we have been talking, my husband and I have been talking about doing cryogenic ablation. Oh, it sounds so cool from beginning. So usually when a person gets diagnosed, not usually, I'll just talk about my case. So how it went was I was diagnosed with the first desmoid tumor months after the start of COVID. So it went from the Twinkie size to the Coke bottle to the softball size it is now. Um, and unfortunately, is quite painful. Great blood supply to it. So initially, my fantastic doctors at MD Anderson wanted to do the traditional chemo route for 6 to 8 months. And then if that didn't work, do radiation because that's what they're comfortable with. It's chemo to get it to stop growing, even shrink. And then from there, we do radiation to make it shrink the rest of the way. And then the very last thing that we do when it's down to like 3 centimeters, I guess it's whatever, is to the ablation where they freeze it. Well, I started the chemo. Kind of the reason why I haven't been posting and stuff is because it's very difficult for me. I haven't felt good in months. Just it's really difficult. It was really difficult for me. So as I can do, when I get my head stuck on something, I really like want someone to tell me exactly why can't I do that. Like I see it, I've looked it up. Why can't we do this? I want to do this. My doctor said, um, fine, I'll set you up an appointment, but I still want to do radiation. So last week we met with a fantastic, equally fantastic doctor that is part of the cryogenics. And this doctor, I did an MRI tonight. We're going to see if I can still do it because now the time, so between May and now, so I was on chemo from May through August and then August through 2 weeks ago. Well, Fred, I don't think has gotten any bigger, but now he's apparently got a mate named Nancy who sits above him, who's now the size of a Twinkie, up against my top of my ribs. Very uncomfortable. Anyway, so originally when they saw the cryogenics department saw my original ones, they were like, "Oh yeah, we know we yours is perfect." I don't know if now that I have two of them, if that changes things, but fingers crossed, it looks like instead of chemo for the next 6 months, that it'll be a surgery with. So cryogenic ablation is basically where they go in and like every 2 centimeters outside, they poke a really cold rod into the center of the tumor and shoot argon and it freezes it, and then helium to heat it up, and they do that around the tumor. And so those, if I found out, were royal gases, which is really exciting. So of course, I have royal gases in me. Um, so if all goes well, before Christmas, it's a surgery with a CT scan. I'll be knocked out, and they will go around me every 2 centimeters and, take Fred out, freeze freeze him. So I thought that was pretty cool. So I'm going to have the experience. You get frostbite. I'm going to know what it's like to have controlled frostbite. That's pretty cool. Anyway, I think it's pretty cool. I sure the heck beats chemo. I mean, that was so rough, guys. I could get emotional very easily about how rough. Um, oh, it wasn't for me. Excuse me, it wasn't for me. So I'm really, really excited. Obviously, I'm not going to share the gory pictures or anything of my surgery, but maybe I will share right before I go in. I will share the last of Fred and his girlfriend Nancy, and then maybe a couple of weeks to a couple months after the ablation, I will go ahead and share the aftermath, like what happens when, you know, Fred and Nancy get blasted with argon and helium. Um, the What's really cool is we found online a French, similar to MD Anderson, but in France, who did it, and he recorded. Excuse me, guys. It is past my bedtime. He recorded. It was just it was like 2 hours in a MRI, which is a whole nother experience right now. Anyway, we found a doctor in France that did a tumor similar to mine, but 3 times as big as mine. And he recorded from beginning to end to follow up the procedure, and come to find out, my doctor at MD Anderson that's in the cryogenics department is friends with that doctor in France. So they know each other. So that was really, really cool. So this doctor, based off of my previous scan, said there's no, I'm telling you, I'm tired. There's no reason why we shouldn't be able to do this cryogenic ablation. And again, that is, instead of radiation, cold gases, argon and helium are used, inserted into the tumors, and basically kill it, freeze it, which it dies over time. It's not instantaneous. It dies over time. And then basically my body eats it. So I could have Fred and Nancy not living, but like shriveled up and frozen for 2 years on my body. But eventually my body will just eat it, which I think is really cool. Couple weeks of discomfort, pain management will handle that. Only 1 day in the hospital. Oh man, only 1 day in the hospital, which is pretty cool. So stay tuned. It seems like instead of the chemo radiation, now we're gonna go cryogenic ablation, which is such a cool name. So I'm gonna have royal gases inside of me that are gonna take care of my 2 desmoid tumors. Thank you guys so much for being on this journey. I'm sorry I don't post as often as I should. I don't go live. Mainly, it has been because of my symptoms, but I do have lots of videos to upload that I've done on my phone from my bed, and maybe I'll spend my time doing that. But I really do appreciate you guys that check in and check this out. So stay tuned. I am going to tentatively go the ablation route. So, yay! All right, stay tuned, you guys. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for letting me share. Thanks for being on this journey with me. You know, I just adore you guys. I can't wait to be out in the world again. It'll be so nice. And it's coming. It's coming. I can feel it. I can feel this time is coming, Joya. And obviously, I need to get some sleep. So bye.